MSNBC has officially rebranded itself as MS Now after splitting from NBCUniversal, marking one of the most dramatic transformations in American cable news history. The change comes as part of Comcast's decision to spin off a large segment of its cable assets, including MSNBC, CNBC, USA Network, Sci-Fi, and other properties, into a new company called Versant. With this move, MS Now has shed the iconic NBC branding and peacock logo, adopting a new name and identity meant to symbolize independence and a fresh era of journalism. According to the network, MS Now stands for My Source for News, Opinion, and the World, a slogan designed to emphasize immediacy, global awareness, and a strong editorial voice. The decision highlights not only a strategic break from NBCUniversal but also a reassertion of the network's role as a hub for progressive commentary and political analysis. The rebrand is more than cosmetic. By discarding the NBC name, MS Now seeks to build its own distinct identity, free from the legacy and constraints of its former parent company. Executives including Versant CEO Mark Lazarus and MSNBC President Rebecca Cutler stressed that the change was carefully considered and debated internally for months. They argue that while the name and logo may be new, the mission remains unchanged, delivering trusted journalism, bold commentary, and a platform for progressive voices. The network is also investing heavily in infrastructure to back up this independence, including the creation of its first dedicated Washington, D.C. bureau, staffed with seasoned reporters from outlets like CNN and Politico. This represents a shift from relying on NBC's newsrooms and reflects MS Now's goal of building its own editorial backbone. Despite the internal optimism, the public response has been polarizing. Many branding experts and media watchers have criticized the new name, with some saying, MS Now sounds awkward or reminiscent of unrelated associations like medical conditions or outdated software. Social media reactions have been especially sharp, mocking the decision and questioning why executives would abandon a brand as established as MSNBC. Outlets like The Guardian, New York Magazine, and Vox highlighted that corporate rebrands often stumble, and MS Now risks falling into that trap if audiences fail to connect with the new identity. Critics also argue that removing the NBC peacock may strip the network of credibility it had gained through its association with a storied broadcaster. On the other hand, supporters argue that distancing itself from NBC gives MS Now a chance to pursue independence without the baggage of corporate influence or political pressure that sometimes came with being tied to NBCUniversal and Comcast. The editorial shifts around the rebrand are also significant. Some well-known personalities remain with NBC News rather than moving to MS Now, such as data analyst Steve Kornotsky and veteran journalist Andrea Mitchell. Others, like Joy Reid, departed earlier in 2025 as part of a broader restructuring. Still, MS Now has retained major figures like Rachel Maddow, whose voice continues to anchor the network's progressive positioning. Maddow and other insiders praise the split as a chance to become an independent news operation capable of competing directly with NBC News rather than serving as its cable extension. For viewers, this means MS Now will double down on opinion-led, progressive journalism that distinguished MSNBC in recent decades, while also trying to expand its news-gathering capacity. The challenges ahead for MS Now are steep. Abandoning a decades-old brand risks alienating loyal audiences who felt connected to MSNBC's name and history. The negative reception to the new logo, which incorporates red, white, and blue stripes in place of the peacock, reflects how emotionally attached viewers were to the old identity. There are also financial questions. Can the network sustain itself without NBC's infrastructure, resources, and cross-platform support? At the same time, there are clear opportunities. As part of Versant, MS Now may be able to innovate faster, experiment with digital platforms, and align with other properties like Rotten Tomatoes or SportsEngine in creative ways. Its independence may also shield it from corporate or political pressure, giving it more freedom to pursue the aggressive, opinionated journalism its audience expects. Ultimately, the transformation from MSNBC to MS Now is both a symbolic and practical gamble. It symbolizes freedom from the NBC legacy and a chance to craft a new identity, but it also risks brand confusion, ridicule, and audience detachment. For its leadership, the hope is that viewers will eventually embrace the new name as a marker of relevance and immediacy, just as previous generations embraced MSNBC. Whether MS Now thrives or falters will depend on its ability to prove that the change is more than just a cosmetic rebrand. The network must demonstrate that its new independence allows it to produce sharper, more credible journalism, strengthen its progressive voice, and connect meaningfully with audiences at a time when trust in media is increasingly fragile. The stakes are high, but the decision marks a bold step into uncharted territory for one of America's most recognizable cable news outlets.